Then, there's KFC Finger Lickin' Good songs.
Thank you for joining, everyone. Before we begin, here are a few simple house rules to help make tonight's event smooth, respectful, and enjoyable for all. For our first house rule, mute your microphones. Please keep your microphones muted during the discussions to avoid any disruptions. This helps ensure our speakers can share their insights without interruptions unless necessary.
Open your cameras, but please take note this is completely optional. If you're able to and have a strong internet connection, we'd love to see your lovely faces. However, if your connection isn't stable, feel free to keep your camera off to ensure a seamless experience.
Third house rule is to be respectful. Let's create a warm and welcoming environment. Treat our speakers and your fellow audience members with respect and kindness.
Question after the discussion. We love your curiosity and encourage you to ask questions, but let's save them for the Q&A session after each speaker has finished their discussion. This ensures that everyone gets a chance to fully absorb the presentation.
Next is to utilize your reaction buttons. Use your reaction buttons if you want to ask a question, applaud the speakers, or if you just simply want to show your reactions.
And lastly, enjoy learning. This is your chance to explore, reflect, and grow. So relax, take notes, and most importantly, have fun. Thank you for following these guidelines. Let's make this an inspiring and meaningful evening for everyone. Let's begin.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for gracing this event with your wonderful presence. Welcome to Ciencia et Fides, an event where we explore the dynamic intersection of faith, science, and leadership.
That is right, partner. This isn't just a lecture. It's an opportunity to dive deep into how theological education and scientific knowledge can work hand in hand to shape the leaders of tomorrow. And let's face it, in today's complex world, we need leaders who can bridge both worlds with wisdom and compassion. I am Eliza, together with my partner, Jean.
And we are the masters of the ceremony for today. So, to officially start this forum, let us first ask the guidance of our Creator through this prayer.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today with humble hearts, seeking your guidance and wisdom as we begin this program. Lord, we ask that you would bless every person who has gathered here today, and that you would be present with us in a special way. We pray that this program would be a time of learning, growth, and fellowship for all of us. Help us to listen to one another with open hearts and open minds, and to support one another as we strive to serve you in all that we do. Please give us the strength and the courage to follow your will and to use the gifts and talents you have given us to make a positive difference in the world. We pray all of this in your holy name. Amen.
Now that we have asked for guidance, buckle up because we are moving on. Before the main event, we, of course, would want to set the tone with an engaging activity where we challenge our audience with a thought-provoking question. Who famously said the line, "The impossibility of conceiving that this grand and wondrous universe with our conscious selves arose through chance seems to me the chief argument to the existence of God." Is it A, Albert Einstein, or B, Charles Darwin, or C, Plato? Drop your guesses in the chat box. The first one who gets the right answer will win a prize. Ayan. So, input nyo na ang inyong mga answer.
Let's see. Come on, guys. You have the chance to drop your answers. It can be just the letter, wild guesses. Whoever comes first, of course, will win a prize. Para
Ayan. So, don't be shy, no?
no? Oo. Hello. Our audience are there? Ayan, may nakita na ako. Nako, may nauna na nga. Let's see. Oh, meron na tayong isa. Okay. Alright, parang, uy, meron pa tayong isang nanghula dito. Meron ako nakikitang mga sagot. From Andre, parang sabi niya letter B. For Nathan, I'm looking at in here, letter A. And for Rian, I'm seeing letter C. Ano kaya ang sagot? We also have another one from Kion saying letter B daw po. Letter B. Okay. So, the correct answer is letter B, Charles Darwin. Okay. At ang nanalo, it's gonna be Andre Pangilinan and Kion Ocampo. Please make sure to reach out to us after the meeting has ended for your cash prizes.
Ayan. So, what an exceptional trivia partner. It has truly set the tone for today's event and it aligns perfectly with our theme. Indeed, there is no better example of the harmony between science and faith than our universe. You know what, partner? Our beliefs about science and religion truly influence how we act and see the world every day. That is why it is really important to talk about.
True, partner. And most of the time, we think that these two concepts clash. But is that really just the relationship between science and faith? Is there coexistence just a mere concept?
That is what we are going to talk about in this forum. So, are you excited, partner?
I am so excited. What are we for? Let's start the discussion.
Tonight, we're fortunate to be graced by two extraordinary speakers who embody knowledge regarding the field of science and faith. They're scholars, mentors, and advocates who have spent their lives exploring how faith and reason can coexist and thrive together.
Yeah, because who says faith and science can sit at the same lunch table, right? Now, I know some of you might be here thinking, faith and science? Isn't that like mixing oil and water? But let us assure you, tonight's speakers are here to prove that not only do these two go together, but when they meet, they can create something truly transformative.
And trust us, you're in for a treat. We have two incredible speakers lined up, both of them brilliant, passionate, and ready to challenge how we think about theology, philosophy, and the role of faith in our ever-changing world.
Exactly. They've lived it, studied it, and taught it. And tonight, they're here to share their wisdom, challenge our perspectives, and maybe even blow our minds a little.
So, partner, shall we introduce them?
Let's go!
First up, we have someone whose academic journey and passion for ministry make him a true trailblazer. He holds a Master of Arts in Theological Studies from the University of the Assumption and is currently pursuing his doctorate in theology at the University of Santo Tomas. And get this, he's not just about deep theological theory, he's passionate about making theology practical.
Exactly. He's taught theology at UST, served in ministry in the Diocese of Malolos, and his research spanned topics that really hit home. Applied theology, philosophy of religion, family studies, and Filipino Catholicism. This guy doesn't just study theology. He brings it to life in ways that matter. Tonight, he'll be talking about how theological education can empower future leaders to face the challenges of today's world's wisdom, faith, and compassion. Let's give him the warmest welcome, Instructor John Kevin T. Mendoza. Let me see those virtual claps, everyone. Mr. John, can I see a quick wave in there? There you go. Our next speaker is someone whose life story could inspire a best-selling novel.
His journey is extraordinary. He started as a Carmelite priest, dedicating his early years to spiritual formation and ministry. He completed his seminary studies at Our Lady of the Angels Seminary and Loyola School of Theology.
But he didn't stop there. He took his passion for learning to new heights, earning a master's degree in philosophy from UP Diliman. And let me tell you, he's not just about studying big ideas. He's about using them to make a difference.
Today, he is a senior lecturer at UP Diliman Extension Program in Pampanga, where he specializes in philosophy and peace education. But here's the kicker. He is also a champion for peace reform and human rights, combining his academic work with advocacy that changes lives.
Exactly, partner. He believes that philosophy is a tool for building bridges, fostering understanding, and creating a better world. Tonight, he'll share how philosophical reasoning and theology together can prepare leaders to navigate our complex, ever-changing society.
Let's give a big round of applause to the inspiring Professor Antonio Villasor.
All right, let me see those reactions, everyone, audience. I'm seeing those reactions. Thank you so much.
So there you have it. Two powerhouse speakers ready to take us on an incredible journey tonight. And by the end of this, I guarantee you'll walk away with fresh perspectives, maybe a few questions, and definitely a lot to think about.
Right, but partner, I think before we start, let's go ahead and ask like a very quick question to our audience here, because me personally, I do have favorite Bible verse that keeps me motivated all the time, and I wanted to check what will be the favorite verses, Bible verses of our audience. Audience, our dear guests, you can go ahead and drop or comment down your favorite Bible verse on the chat box below. Let me see here.
And make sure pala na naka-address to everyone yung mga chat ninyo.
Correct. Oh, okay. We have one from Yasi that says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Wow, that's a very powerful one, right, Jean?
Exactly. Keep
But-
them coming. Ano pa ba?
Yeah.
Ayan,
Okay.
Andre says, For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Ayan.
Iba din yun. Maganda din yun. Actually, that's one of my favorite verses so far. But I think we only have 2 audience here. I'm seeing here we're like 57 in this Zoom. But parang hindi ko nakikita ang other audience. Hello, hello. You're still there? I know it's already.
Ayan, from Ate Jamie.
Yon. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. 1 John 4 verse 8. Wow. Grabe. Nangindig yung balahibo ko doon. That's a very good one.
Ayan, so thank you for sharing those inspirational and meaningful Bible verses. Now let us move on to our round table discussion. Let us all welcome our moderator, Mr. Lucas Uson.
So, good afternoon, everyone. I am Lucas Uson, your moderator for today's roundtable discussion. Today, we will talk about the intersection and interrelation of science and faith in our daily lives. So, we are actually really lucky to have been graced by 2 notable figures in this field, Mr. Mendoza and Professor Villasor. So, just a reminder for everyone, please keep your microphones off and your minds open for this discussion. Should you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box or raise them later in the question and answer portion. So the flow of the discussion will be straightforward. I will begin by reading each question, and after which the 2 speakers will respond in succession, with Mr. Mendoza answering first, followed by Professor Villasor. So without further ado, Let us start. For the first question, given your line of work, you must have encountered a lot of questions about the coexistence of science and faith. So, have you experienced any challenges in your line of work? How did you address these, and have you found the scientific knowledge acquired in the seminary crucial in navigating through situations that involve ethical or scientific dilemmas? So, I think we can start with Mr. Mendoza.
Right, so good evening po. Good evening po, Professor. I'm honored to be with you po this evening. But to answer the question, of course, I have experienced challenges with regards the relationship between faith and reason. As at present, currently, I'm teaching at the University of Santa Tomas, teaching undergraduate students, and I'm teaching theology. I'm teaching theology to nursing students, medical technologies, pharmacy. So these students are science or medical related, and that would be quite challenging to teach them about faith because I know that they are people who are inclined to the sciences. But nonetheless, I would like to emphasize first and foremost that there is this relationship between faith and reason. No, what I do is that I make them realize na hindi totoo na hindi nag-iisip ang nananampalataya, no? That believers can actually be reasonable and faith is actually reasonable as well. That is why while teaching them theology, I make them realize that the faith is not something that is meaningless but with profundity, no? That faith is actually reasonable. So I would like to begin at least my reflection with regards to the relationship between reason and faith. That faith and reason are actually complementary. No, bagay sila. They mutually support each other. Yes, they are distinct, magkaiba, and yet bagay sila. Why? Because reason, okay, it is our intellectual capacity. Ginagamit yung isipan natin so that we can understand, analyze, we can conclude based on evidences. No? And that would be logical deduction or induction. However, we know that our reason also has limitations. That is why here comes faith. No, and in through this faith we trust in divine revelation. No, we trust in the divine revelation and accept that there are truths that may transcend human understanding. It might not look reasonable because it is actually beyond reason. What faith teaches is something that is beyond reason. And John Paul II advocates this relationship between faith and reason, saying that faith and reason are actually two wings, dalawang pakpak, by which the human spirit rises to the contemplation of truth. No? Through faith and reason, we can actually have a comprehensive understanding of reality. No, hindi makitid yung pag-unawa natin sa realidad, no, sa una kung ano ang umiiral, no, and we can say that they mutually actually enrich each other. Faith can enrich reason because it provides us broader context for understanding the mysteries of faith, kasi makikita natin hindi lang pala yung umiiral dito sa lupa, kung hindi meron na maaaring hindi natin nakikita, hindi natin nararanasan, ngunit totoo at umiiral. Okay? And also, reason can actually serve faith by giving us rational foundations for belief. That is why even our patron, Saint Thomas Aquinas, no, he actually taught theology using philosophy, using logic, using the other disciplines, for instance. And therefore, we have to realize, for instance, that while science can teach us that there is a supreme being, that there is a grand or intelligent designer of all these things, faith will teach us that this supreme being is a loving being who wants to enter into relationship with us. No, so basically, no, what faith offers us is that revelation. No, revelation provides us what surpasses human understanding. No, yung hindi kaya maunawaan ng isipan dahil ito ay lampas sa isipan. No, and from here, I would like to point out, therefore, no, that science and faith, no, because reason and faith has relationship, science and faith has relationship as well. No, they are two distinct realms of knowledge, because science, no, studies what is empirically observable, no? We do experimentations, no? We look into the natural laws that governs the universe. However, there is something beyond what eyes can see, what senses can perceive. We have, for instance, some moral values. No, we have spiritual truths which, for instance, science cannot actually comprehend. No, so they are actually complementary and they can have a dialogue with one another. Okay, and because of that, we can have theological insights from science. No, how is that? No, we can have a deeper understanding of God's creation, no? Because we understand the natural world. Mas nauunawaan natin ano ba ang nilikha ng Diyos. Bakit? Kasi nauunawaan natin na ito na mga nakikita natin, no? Merong disenyo, umiiral sila na merong dahilan at yung dahilan na to hindi pwedeng aksidente lang, for instance. Okay? And also faith now enters as a guide to science. Why? Because you ask here, no, if what I have taught in the seminary taught me what I have acquired in seminar crucial in navigating through situations that involve ethical or scientific dilemmas, no? Because actually it is faith, it is philosophy, it is reason that actually guides, for instance, ethical and moral considerations with regards our scientific exploration. And so I could clearly say that um, theology enriches science and science actually enriches faith. No, if I still have the time, do I still have the time? By the way, can I proceed?
Yes, you
Okay.
may
Yes.
continue po.
Okay. So I would like to say that, for instance, they would say that the church is against science. Okay, the church is against science, but that is not true. Why? Because the church has been contributory in the advancement of knowledge. For instance, the schools that we have, the universities that you have, they began because of the church. It is the church that actually, for instance, began, no, the study of law, the study of medicine, the study of arts. And for instance, the University of Bologna, the University of Oxford, these are actually founded through the church. And that is why it is not true that the church is against science, because the church is actually for the advancement of knowledge. Okay. Furthermore, for instance, it is through the church that classical knowledge has been preserved. For instance, the writings of Plato, the writings of Aristotle, all of this have been continued up to present. They are sustained up to the present. Why? Because the church has been the repository of this classical text. No? And for instance, the development of scholasticism, no? The way that St. Thomas Aquinas actually taught philosophy, taught theology, was that it was using dialectical reasoning and logic. Okay? It is using research. Okay? And therefore, we cannot discount the fact that the church is actually has its own contribution to science. For instance, Gregor Mendel, Georges Lemaitre, no? These are priests of the Catholic Church. And because of that, no, these scholars actually explored the natural world as means of understanding God's creation. Pinag-aralan nila ang mundo para maunawaan ang paglikha ng Diyos at nang maunawaan ang Diyos. Okay? And this provided, for instance, the ethical framework for knowledge so that the scientific endeavors, for instance, bioethics, environmental stewardship, and social justice can be guided actually through faith and reason. So I would say that what I learned from the seminary, what I learned from the seminary, especially, can I share actually the science subjects that I've taken the seminary. Anyway, would you be surprised that before we are taught theology that is about faith, we were first asked to learn about reason because our bachelor's degree is philosophy. Okay? Tinuruan muna kami na walang Diyos at ngayon, pag-aaralan natin, ituturo natin na mayroong Diyos. Okay? Ganon kayabang ang teolohiya. Bakit? Pinag-aral muna kami ng filosofiya para mas lumalim ang pag-aaral namin ng teolohiya. Okay? And in our binalikan ko yung amin pong transcript, no, para talagang exactly, no. We have, for instance, ano, as my bachelor's degree is Bachelor of Arts in Philosophy. So we have NatSci 101, Environmental Science, NatSci 102, Biology, Physical Science 201, Earth Science, and then in our philosophy, we have this major Philosophy of Science and Technology. So technically, we really have science courses. Akala nyo, nagdadasal lang kami doon. Akala nila, no, ang pinag-aaralan lang namin ay Biblia. No, hindi. Nag-aaral kami ng siyensya at iba pa. No, we studied general psychology, for instance. We studied social sciences such as society and culture. We even studied family planning. We studied guidance and counseling. We studied methods of research and methodology because our theologies should be informed by research. Okay? And syempre mahalaga para critical ang thinking at ang pag-aaral ng teolohiya, we need logic, we need ethics. No, and kung gagamit tayo, we were also taught statistics. Akala ko sa seminaryo walang matematika, but no, we had algebra and statistics as well. So kung akala nyo ay iba po ang pinag-aaralan namin sa seminaryo, tulad po kami ninyo na sa kolehiyo nag-aaral din ng mga ito. And in our master's degree, we have double degree, Master of Arts in Theology and Masters of Arts in Pastoral Ministry. It is there that we also are taught about pastoral psychology, pastoral counseling, family ethics, reproductive ethics, so that we can actually comprehensively respond, for instance, with scientific dilemmas and ethical dilemmas as well with contemporary issues. And I hope I was able to provide at least answer for that first question. Salamat po.
Yes po. Thank you very much for that very impactful and information-filled first question or answer to your first question. So I think we can now proceed to Professor Villasor.
So thank you, Professor Jan Kevin Mendoza,
Thank you po.
for sharing your life in seminary as well as your studies in seminary. I think I studied in seminary way back in the, wala pa kayo, no? 66. Tagal na. So 70, I graduated. It was a minor seminary run by the Dutch Carmelite Fathers in Negros. So this way, I would say that my seminary was rather tough, no? Discipline was the order of the day. Well, you have to memorize Latin, and you have to stand if you cannot speak in Latin or decline or conjugate in Latin. So I keep on sitting, of course. I love Latin since I was a sacristan. So I agree that the reasoning is very imbued in the seminary as part of training. Philosophy is called Ancilia Domini, no? Ancilia Theologiae, no? It's the handmaid of God or the handmaid for theology. So it's just a stepping stone for theology. So the arguments here is that can science give us the truth? Well, religion, the church can give us the faith. So these are all discussed also in the seminary. It does not necessarily mean that it is it seeks the faith, no? Religion cannot, sometimes some religions are not seeking the faith, and some sciences are not telling the truth. So these kind of arguments are subject to certain fallacies, no, or erroneous thinking. In the past, in the medieval times, I agree with him that scholastic philosophy was more of reasoning, and it was very helpful to give the dimensions of science. I think the Greeks had the naturalist idea of religion, and they have scientific means to develop science as well as philosophy. But in the scholastic time, science is a bit far out, no? Medyo mahirap na intindihin, except maybe in some cases. But during the time of Galileo, the church has made a mistake, no? That he condemned Galileo. So the clash of science and reasoning, or what you call it, philosophy, had already been accentuated during his time. Because of the fallacy of argumentum ad ignorantiam, no? If it is not proven to be true, then it's false. If it's not proven to be false, then therefore it's true. So, kasi hindi na prove ng church that the earth rotates around the sun. So, or the sun is the center of the solar system. So the church accepted the center of geocentric tayo, the center is the earth. So because it's said in the Bible that everything that is static or in keep is perfect. So it does not move. No, it doesn't move. Non-movery. But Galileo contradicted the church, like in the Copernican and Kepler ideas. So the Copernican revolution says that all the solar system planets revolve around the sun. So heliocentric tayo. And that is the truth because of his telescope. And that is science, no? So he discovered the so-called instrument. So what is the relation of this in the faith? Of course, Galileo kept his faith, no? I think he still believed in the church, but he was excommunicado, no? Incommunicado. He was put in the house arrest. Ang filosofiya dito sa simbahan or our philosophy in life, I think basic naman sa tao is to seek the purpose of life. I think that is very Aristotelian. When I was in seminary, I had a kind of idea of a mission, no? I like priests who are going to the barrios and helping the people, saying the mass and giving the sacraments as well as talking with the people. I think that put me in the fundamental option, no, and a very Aquinas idea of the telos, no, the purpose of life. So when you have purpose in life, you value your faith, no, you value your mission. So all the theologians that come into the seminary are just passing through this kind of theologies, no, or idea of how to make that mission become concrete. For example, Augustine would say, I seek my faith in order that I can understand God better. So that is a faith-seeking faith, no, like Anselm. And then see Thomistic theology would say, I have my reasoning, so I have my 5 ways of empirical proofs of the existence of God, because I want to seek God through my reasoning. So the Aristotelian logic and the effects of the Islamic studies in theology from Aristotle. So this is a very good, no, because it means to say reason and faith are not really contradicting, but you have to surmount the difficulties that Thomas was also ostracized by the church, no, although he was educated by Albertus the Great, but he was not very much accepted because he used the pagan philosophy of Aristotle. But he was able to prove it that reasoning is very valuable in seeking faith or in seeking salvation for the truth. So the leap of faith is also very modern nowadays because that's Kierkegaardian, no? Soren Kierkegaard's idea of going to your idea of getting into the dark. So, tingin ko importante sa lahat ito, no, na you have a purpose in life. But not all people accept faith, no? Not all people accept religion as such. In the modern critical philosophy, we studied Kant, and he says there are 3 metaphysical things that you cannot easily believe, and that is the faith in God, the immortality of the soul, and the idea of freedom that is so enormous, abstract. But you still have to keep the mind surely intact, no, to understand this kind of meanings of these terms, because metaphysics is something outside of the blue, no, outside of the clouds. So you have to put it in an analytical way. That's why he put this critique and pure reason towards the idea that God can be understood through the certain fallacy, one fallacy and the other fallacy, but there's still the hope of understanding both extreme of this what you call this of these fallacies, and that is the hope. And for Kant, I think he understand it, and in terms of religion based upon faith, on reason rather than so much faith that is abstract. So for me, there are barriers in science and faith, and we have to be very very keen or astute or acumen wise, because science can also go berserk because it's a trial and error method. So it can inductive method. So the Challenger, that was a shuttle that burst in the air, ay mali ng science yun eh. That's the wrongdoing of science, because they were group thinking. The scientists were thinking in a group mindset, naka-close ang kanilang mind, and they exploded the whole machine. Whereas faith can also be blind and dogmatism, like during the time of Galileo. So the both extremes are not good for us to study if we are not aware of our own limitations. Tama yung sabi niya kanina. Limitation is good, your doubt is good, but you still have certainty. So Descartes has his doubt, dubito ergo sum, but he also have a certainty, and his certainty is in the perfect example of God. Teresa of Avila has also her doubts of God, and Dark Night of the Soul, as well as John of the Cross, but they still have their faith and in the breeze of the wind, via negativa, no, the Dark Night of the Soul. I think these are enormous ideas that we have to consider when we want to find purpose in life. To have a meaningful life is to seek faith also. At the same time, you have to value reason. So I don't see any contradiction of science and faith in my life, no, as in the seminary. But I will tell about more of that later. Introduction lang ito. Thank you.
Thank you so much po, both speakers, for that really insightful first question, especially about their own experiences and their own time sa seminary and even with teaching. So to go on to the next question, what do you think are the advantages and also disadvantages of integrating science and technology subjects into the Christian seminary curriculum? So we can start siguro with Mr. Mendoza.
What are the advantages and disadvantages of integrating science and technology subjects into the seminary curriculum? So, I would like to begin first with, for instance, the disadvantage. No, the disadvantage for me would lie on the danger of separating the two. Okay, na baka masyado nating itaas yung siyensya, no, at ibaba yung pananampalataya, yung teolohiya, no, because if we separate, for instance, faith and the danger of separating faith and reason, for instance, when faith is detached from reason, no, syempre it becomes irrational and superstitious, no, naniniwala ako sa iyo, naniniwala ako dito, hawak ko sa kung saan etc., no, it becomes superstitious and irrational. However, kapag naman, on the other hand, doon sa kabila naman na swing ng pendulum, when reason is actually divorced with faith, no, baka naman isipin natin na yung mundo ay material lang. Na tayo ay katawan lang, na kapag namatay tayo, magiging alabok at magbabalik sa enerhiya at kung ano paman, no? There's a danger that when we emphasize too much science naman, we become we will be having a purely materialistic worldview which neglects the spiritual dimensions of existence, no, what is metaphysical, no, kung kung ang i-emphasize lang natin ang physical, makakaligtaan natin yung metaphysical, which is the realm, for instance, of faith, no. Pero para sa akin, there would be a great advantage, no? A great advantage if we really include and integrate science and technology subjects into the Christian seminary curriculum, because science can actually deepen the understanding and appreciation of our spiritual beliefs, no? So for instance, let me start with the Big Bang theory. Okay? So scientific Big Bang theory. Sabi merong singular point and it is expanding ever since. No? Yung iba akala nila it would be incompatible with the Catholic understanding that God created the universe out of nothing. And yet, kung titingnan natin, we can align that scientific framework, although it is not officially endorsed, but we can see that they can align actually. No? So Pope John Paul II, for instance, he noted that the theory that it does not contradict the doctrine of creation. Why? Kasi what started the Big Bang, for instance? So meron pa ring simula. At babalik tayo sa pagtatanong, ano nga yung nasa simula? Hanggang sa bumalik tayo that there is this intelligent supreme being that exists that started the Big Bang. So if you believe that the world began with the Big Bang, then who started the Big Bang? Diba? So logically we could actually argue about that. No? For instance, evolutionary biology would say na parang contradicting naman po yung tinatawag nating evolution, no? At saka yung tinatawag natin na creationist account, no? Na nung ginawa tayo ng Diyos, tao na, no? So makikita natin that Pope Francis, for instance, in his encyclical Laudato Si, said that yes, the scientific consensus and evolution is acknowledged, and we can emphasize that it doesn't negate the belief in God, because ultimately we have still a need for a creator. Even though they undergo, for instance, evolution, we would still need someone to begin that evolution. That this complexity of life, can also actually affirm that there is a purposeful creator, an intelligent designer who works through natural processes. No, so kahit na makikita natin, teka, checkmate, evolution is real. What started the evolution in the first place? So babalik at babalik tayo doon sa tanong na yon. The singularity, for instance. Okay? And the fine-tuning of the universe, if I could still continue, no? The fine-tuning of the universe, no? Paano nangyari that the physical constants, no? That the laws of physics are so precisely calibrated, gravity, no? Etc. That we can say na pwede ba aksidente na yon? Lahat ng sumasabog nasisira. Pero bakit ganon? Nung sumabog ang Big Bang, nakahinga tayong lahat. 'Di ba? Yung mundo, nakahinga tayo. Bakit hindi nagsasalpukan yung araw doon sa mga planeta? Aksidente ba 'yon? I don't think that's logical. Okay? So we cannot say that it would be logical to think that everything, no, na it was finely tuned for life, na nabuhay tayo with such complicated tuning of the universe, no, na masabi natin, aksidente lang 'yon. 'Di ba? We cannot say na saan nanggaling 'yon? Wala. That would be illogical. Okay? What else? No, yung prayer, for instance, the spiritual experience that we have, no? Some would say na talagang bakit nga ba ganun kapag nagdadasal tayo, pag nagme-meditate tayo? Because science can actually affirm that studies affirm that brain activity, there's brain activity, no, that is taking place during prayer, meditation, or mystical experiences. Kaya makikita natin na yung pananampalataya may epekto sa katawan. 'Di ba? Na yung kaluluwa, paano nangyari na yung kaluluwa na hindi natin nakikita may epekto doon sa katawan na nakikita natin, no? Na yung pakiramdam, for instance, no, na yung mga nadarama natin, na naiisip natin, no, meron siyang kinalaman doon sa ating kaluluwa, halimbawa. Okay? And finally, siguro one another example would be, for instance, with regards to the ecological crisis, no? Na hindi tayo kasi maniniwala na we are kumaga no turning back na 'di ba? Parang patapos na at kumaga papalapit na tayo sa wakas, no? Hangga't hindi natin nakikita, sinasabi ng siyensya, no? Ito na 'yung nangyayari sa kalikasan, palakas ng palakas, 'yung mga bagyo, no? Padalas ng padalas, etc. So, we will not take action, no? And we will not be serious about our moral and spiritual obligation about the environment if it is not informed with science. And that is why I think with this at least examples that I have provided with you, that despite yung unang conflict na nabanggit ni Professor kanina, for instance yung kay Galileo, yung tungkol sa conflict over evolution, although sabi ko nga sa inyo George Lemaitre is a priest, no, and even for instance in the Age of Enlightenment, sinasabi nila na hindi na dapat tayo manampalataya dahil ang gagamitin lang natin ay isipan. Naniniwala ako that integrating science and technology into the subjects of the Christian seminary curriculum would be very advantageous, no? And the disadvantage would be kapag i-divorce natin yung science doon, for instance, sa pananampalataya at sa reason, for instance. So I hope that answers the second question. Thank you.
Thank you very much po for your answer for that. So I think we can move on kay Professor Villasor.
Yeah, I think in the seminary we were taught about sex education also, and science din yun, di ba? So we were taught biology, physics, statistics. We were not yet taught about artificial intelligence, pero evolution also was being taught to us in the seminary. I don't find any contradiction there, because you need to be aware, abreast with science, kasi those are all inductive knowledge and empirical knowledge that you need to put evidence in your theories. So science help us a lot to think in terms of the proofs of life, no? the understanding of sex that is good, creative, very creative, and for creation, and cell that is good for your health, and evolutionary theory that can make you think that you are uh, divine, convinced of your own divine existence, from your divine existence. Pero ang problema sa seminary, I think some people would laugh at sex education. No? For example, we were taught about that women, men, or male and female are different. Sa babae ay para siyang plancha, matagal siya bago ma-induce to sex, to love. Sa lalaki, para siyang switch, mabilis lang siyang ma-ignite. So those things are pinagpatatawanan ng seminary. But these are true in life, no? Pag teenager na yung babae, ang tingin niya sa sex ay romansa, no? Magandang ano to, pagkakataon para I will seek my love from my boyfriend. Pero sa lalaki, ang feeling niya kaagad, hindi mo ako mabigyan ng love pag wala kang sex. So parang nagmamadali siya sa sex. So ang kakibat niyon ay magkaiba silang level, no? Ng pag-intindi sa what's life, what is the meaning of life, what's the meaning of love. So those things are dangerous kasi how can you control your sex? Kasi yung mga lalaki, hindi nila malaman kung when to stop, no? Is it from necking to etc. So those things are very dangerous. And also for the girls, if they do not know what is mabuntis, kasi magsasabi niya, ay, nabuntis ako, disgrasya. So they make use of pills and other contraceptives. Pero that is accepted by the secular life, but the church always is adamant to accept those abortifacient or contraception. Pero ang importante dito, when are you going to control your desire? So ang importante dito, I think is more the ability and the capacity to judge, your conscience and your faith also in your being, that you are given the chance to have a creation for life. So this is very Aristotelian or Thomistic or whatever you call it. Pero sa Pilipino kasi importante yung handa ka eh. You're prepared for a life that is going to have a meaningful existence. Kasi pag nabuntis ng babae, sabi niya, hindi ka na part ng pagkatao ko yan, no? So pwede na akong mag-abortion. But that's wrong. First of all, you decide to have a baby, so it's not an accident, no? Na ginanahan kayong dalawa or whatever. The lalaki is also trying to put up that kind of defense, no? Na aksidente lang. But that is wrong because it means to say you are not purposeful in your life. You're telos. You're not handa sa science, no? Yung science ay dapat tanggapin mo, naturally sa yan, na mabuntis ka or magkaroon ka ng baby. So sa lalaki na magkaroon siya ng insemination, etc. So I think the idea here is that there is a divine command theory, no? Lahat tayo naniwala ng God give us this kind of command. Do good unto others what you want others to do unto you, or a divine matchmaker. God created everything is good, etc., etc. But there are also contradiction there. Some people say, there's a blind watchmaker. Hindi ako naniwala na there's a God. But natural lang yan, nasasabihin nila. So these things like other Richard Dawkins, etc. And there's also an idea here of what is good in life. Kasi lahat tayo gusto nating maganda, no? Science is also expecting good, finding the truth through empirical ways, in trial and error method, inductive methods. Pero what is really good? Yung Euthyphro dilemma gave us back the idea, ano ba ang talagang good sa mundo? Ang good ba is material wealth or your happiness in life or your relationship or your having a good education, etc., and success, etc.? Is that really good? So we studied metaethics, and you have to contextualize this good. So you have to find your idea of how sincere are you in your intuition, in your judgment of what is really good. So medyo mahirap to, no? Kasi this is not just common sense, but this is more an educated idea of to living your life scientifically, motivated, committed to life, etc. So it needs a kind of a respect. Kasi ang Pilipino, hindi tayo masyadong natututo sa ganong ingredients na we have that kind of individualism sa sarili natin. The Americans are so individualistic. Pero if you want to be a person who is responsible in life, you have to find your bearing, no? Yung self-individualism that is good. Ibig sabihin, matuto tayong tumindig sa sarili nating interes. Hindi lang dahil tinuro ito ng pamilya natin, that Jungian idea of habits, kind of a culture shock, tinuro ng tradisyon, ng simbahan, etc. No, you have to find your own bearing. So this kind of idea of examine life is something that you have to prove in your daily existence. Kasi hindi tayo matutong lumakad kung hindi tayo magsasarili sa sarili nating meaningful life. And this, for me, is a good example, no? In the seminary, we were taught to be inside the incubated room. So, seminaryo nga, nursery. Pero pag lumabas ka sa seminaryo, when you had a regency, you have to find your own bearing. So, you have to find your own existence. And you cannot be lazy. When I was in seminary, I was lazy. Natuto lang akong tumanggap ng hamon noong nagkaroon ng mga matitinding floods in the early 70s sa Candaba, sa Pampanga, etc. At kinakato kami ng mga madre sa aming mga tulugan. Siesta time So, nagigising kami. Siesta is my luxury, no? Kasi nakakatulog ka after you're eating your lunch. Pero nung nabulabog na kami, that created us an awareness na marami palang naghihirap sa Pilipinas. Binabaha, etc., na displaced na families. So, we were empowered. I was empowered, no? I had an immersion with the people, the poor, sa mga squatter area, and tinatawag natin informal settlers, dito sa Capres, sa Novaliches, etc. And then, the Sibuyasan sa Nueva Ecija, etc. So, that empowerment is a bearing, no? It makes you well aware of your rights. Hindi yan tinuro ng simbahan basta-basta, no? But kailangan ay isa sa buhay mo yan sa sarili mong pagsikap matuto sa buhay. Or else, pag nagtamad-tamaran tayo, pakuya-kuyakoy, pa-isi-isi, life can be very dangerous. Especially for students who are bombarded by so many YouTube or whatever we call it, social media of lies. But I think science, lies from the social media can be cured, as well as artificial intelligence. For as long as you have the critical thinking and the right mindfulness to understand the ethical problems of life, you have a goodwill and intention. I think that's my hope for the children for today. Thank you.
Thank you po very much for your answer for this question. So for our next question, it will be for Mr. Mendoza. So, having worked and studied at the theology school in UST, how do they plan to handle the evolving scientific issues that may arise in the future? And how do they prepare their students to handle them as they present themselves in their future jobs and even maybe leaders of faith as well?
So, thank you. Allow me to reflect first. Okay. So, yeah, we have some evolving scientific issues that may arise in the future, and I think as we prepare our students as well, no, and I think it's very important that we realize that the church has a very positive stance with regard modern scientific discoveries, no? So, kumbaga, bukas tayo doon sa mga nadidiscover na mga bago ng siyensya. And that is why I think, okay, it is very important that we learn how to affirm the scientific inquiry, na talagang kilalanin natin that scientific inquiry is actually a legitimate pursuit of knowledge, no? That according to John Paul II, no, the church has really great esteem for scientific and technological research, no? So because this reflects actually humanity's dominion over creation, na talagang merong kakaiba doon sa tao na siya yung na pinagkatiwalaan para sa mundong ito. Siya yung makakadiskubre sa katotohanan, sa kabutihan, sa kagandahan ng mundong ito sa pamamagitan ng siyensya. Okay? So it's very important that we affirm actually first and foremost the scientific inquiry, no? And even for my nursing students, for medical technologists, ano, ito yung mga at least naranasan ko naturuan, no, mga pharmacists, no? I've always affirmed in them the scientific inquiry But nonetheless, with the affirmation of scientific inquiry is the recognition of the harmony between faith and science, no? Na talaga namang faith doesn't contradict reason, and in the larger scheme of things, no, faith is actually complementary with science, 'di ba? So as I've said a while ago, no, that scientific discoveries can actually inform and enrich faith, no? Habang mas nakikilala natin ang mundong ito, mas nakikilala natin ang Diyos na sinasamba natin, no? At ganun din naman, it is faith that actually provides ethical guidance for scientific endeavors na pwede bang pag-eksperimentuhan ng tao, halimbawa, no? So it is actually faith, no? It is actually guiding scientific endeavor so that we will not be actually stepping over the dignity of the human person, the rights of every person, which we don't have an understanding of that in science, no? Wala naman tayong konsepto ng human rights, ng human dignity, for instance, sa siyensya, no? Makikita lang natin 'yan sa teolohiya, makikita lang natin 'yan sa filosofiya. That is why really we need to consider ethical considerations, no? For instance, I've been teaching them the responsible use of scientific discoveries, no? And yung ethics, for instance, ng genetics, yung ethics ng biotechnology, ng environmental science, no, so that we can have a moral framework that respects the dignity of the human person and integrity of creation. We cannot play gods, no. Sa siyensya, it's as if tayo yung Diyos. Yun yung tendency na parang akala dahil tayo ang tao, dahil meron tayong kaalaman, dahil meron tayo pag-iisip, tayo na yung Diyos at pwede nating gawin ang lahat, no, sa mundo, doon sa lahat ng mga nilalang. Pero teka, we need some ethical considerations, and hindi kaya ng siyensya na gumawa ng ganon. It's only philosophy, it's only theology that can do that, no? Pero ang pinakamalaga, 'di ba? Engagement with contemporary issues, no, na dapat talaga ang theology maging relevant kasi talagang babangga at babangga yan. So for instance, no, yung sa Laudato Si, no, yung urgency ng ecological crisis, it is also a theological issue. Kasi baka na hindi natin nauunawaan na tayo ay katiwala, no, ng mundong ito, at anumang gagawin natin dito, no, ay makakaapekto sa ating lahat sa susunod na henerasyon. Kaya pinapatunayan palagi ng siyensya ito yung nangyayari. Kaya dapat gumising na tayo. Totoo na dapat maging totoo dapat pamahalaan natin ng mabuti ang mundong ito dahil tayo yung tao. Okay? So therefore, with regards to this, no, evolving scientific issues that may arise in future, the attitude should be openness, yung pagiging bukas, no? Na habang mas nauunawaan natin ang mundo, mas nauunawaan natin ng Diyos at ang nilikha ng Diyos. Yung pagkaalam, yung pagkatuto ay isang uri ng pagsamba sa Diyos, no? So thank you so much about that, and I hope I answered the question. Okay.
Thank you po. Absolutely. It gives us
Mhm.
another it gives us
Mhm.
depth into
Mhm.
the discussion on this. So for the next question for Professor Villasor, science has really become politicized in the last 20 years or so, and even in UP where everything is actually political. So do you think that the politicization of science, especially on matters like climate and genetics and the like, do you think that has made discussions of science more difficult in your line of work?
I do not understand about politicize. You have to define the terms. Kung what 20 years or so. That's quite a long time ago. Pero ang idea ko about science is inevitable, no? It's very compatible with the modern world. Kasi science gives, for example, the invention or discovery of medicine like penicillin, antibiotics gives life for people to prolong. We have stopped polio, we have stopped cases like tuberculosis and other sort of diseases in the past. So hindi na siya ganun katindi, no? During the American Civil War, many died because of tetanus and infection. So we have so much wellspring of masabi nating these are the silver linings of life, no? So mataas na ang ating mundo, ang kakabihas na natin, ang kalakaran sa mundo. So even the COVID pandemic, we have given us a chance to neutralize the pandemic and regulate the so-called more fatal cases of pandemic. So it is a guide, no, that science is trailblazing, and it's a kind of a watershed, no. Malaking bagay siya sa development of our knowledge and our life prolonging existence in this world. But there are complexities in science, no. So, for example, how do you talk about abortion, euthanasia, medically assisted dying, or you talk about reproduction, or so-called artificial intelligence, and things that things to that kind of devalued people or women, or their actual knowledge to bioethics, for example. So nagko-contradict yan, no? So you think to discuss more of the individualistic way of looking at science from the more communitarian or family-oriented understanding of how to promote health with science, for example. Kasi pag nagtuturo ka sa mga doctors, nurses, you have to be very good in science kasi ang pinaka-principalism ng science ay ang autonomy, that's freedom, beneficence, that's doing good for the patient. It should not be maleficent, no, maleficent. So it's not going to affect bad things to the patient. And the most important thing is respect for persons, like Kantian, respect for persons and justice. So nung nagkaroon ng idea sa Germany to put in their constitution what is the best, kasi ang mundo ngayon is very utilitarian, no? We would like to have the best medicine for the world, utilitarian, no? So do you want to save the patient by so-called new sciences, abortion, for example, or to save the mother or the child? So yung mga ganong dilemma, or what you call it, questioning of science, ang effect dito ay ano ang priority mo, ang prerogative mo. Ang prerogative ng Kantian idea by this Prime Minister Schröder in Germany is to promote respect for a person. So if you kill the baby and you save the mother unnecessarily or without any kind of a good reasoning, that is not science, no? That is not respect for persons na sinasabi ng German Constitution. So they are very strict on that, no? So they put limits to the autonomous idea of science that is just out of the blue. So ang kailangan nito siguro ay you have to understand the value of human life as very important. Tama yung sabi kanina, no? You have to be you are the integrity of justice and creation. You have to value the respect for the individual, the person, and human rights, the human rights of the person. And science should bolster the kind of idea that the person is the principal. I always keep on thinking about this in ethics. When we try to evaluate how people develop science, for example, when what you call this, the idea of saving the life of a person, came out from the idea of Margaret Mead, no? When they try to save when animals cannot save their own kins because they do not know how to repair the broken femur bone. Pero sabi ni Margaret Mead, you can repair the femur bone by using your intelligence, your wits, and that is the healing power of science. So when you talk about it, I think mental illnesses today has to do with not only by technology, no. You can cure the mental illness of a person not by pharmacology or other kind of sickness induced medicine to therapy. Pero ang kailangan dito is the wayfaring, no? It's a kind of a solidarity with the patient. Just being with the person, wasting your time, listening to the person, and trying to understand what she is becoming or he is becoming to. And I think that kind of understanding is beyond medicine, beyond technology. And this is sa Pilipinas, malakas ang family orientation natin. That kind of support system would kind to booster your identity, not only with your physicians, not only with your medicine, but it kind of healing, may healing effect siya doon sa pag-cure ng ating mga mental health problems today. Thank you.
Thank you so much po for answering the question actually very well then. So to almost wrap up this discussion, we want to give the last question. So briefly or quickly, what would be your advice to divinity schools about integrating science and technology into their programs, maybe to make it better or some things that you feel need to be revised? So let's start, Siguro, with Mr. Mendoza.
Right. So once again, I would like to reiterate that faith and reason are like two wings by which the human person rises to the contemplation of truth. Kinakailangan yung pananampalataya at yung pag-iisip ng tao upang makarating tayo doon sa pagkaunawa sa katotohanan, at ang katotohanan ito ay ang Diyos mismo, no? Ang kaganapan ng lahat ng katotohanan, no? But nonetheless, I would really emphasize that science can enhance the appreciation of faith, no? That we can actually deepen our understanding of creation through the scientific discoveries, as it can illuminate the intricacies of the universe. It can reveal the complexity and the beauty of creation. Sabi ni John Paul II, the more we know about physical reality, the more we can appreciate the immensity of the mystery of God. No, we know creation, the more we know about the Creator. No, and also scientific knowledge can actually enhance our theological reflection. So we can understand clearly sino ba itong Diyos na sinasamba natin, na yung Diyos na sinasamba nating ito, umiiral siya at meron siyang talino at meron siyang pag-ibig, may plano para sa lahat. No, science, the integration of science can foster a sense of wonder, no, yung pagkamangha, no, yung minsan ito yung nagkukulang sa atin ngayon, yung mamangha tayo, no? At kasama sa pagkamangha ng isang naniniwala ay ang pagkaalam lalo tungkol sa siyensya, sa mga natatagpuan ng siyensya. So, for instance, the exploration of the cosmos, of the universe, the intricacies of cellular biology, no? The laws of physics can actually evoke our awe and admiration of the Creator. Sabi ko nga kanina, the pursuit of scientific knowledge can be seen as a form of worship. No, ito ay pagsamba, no, na hindi tayo of course hihinto doon sa nilikha ng Diyos, kung hindi sa pagkaunawa natin dito sa mga nilikha ng Diyos, mas lalo nating naunawaan ang Diyos na lumikha ng mga ito. So we can say, of course, science cannot substitute for faith, moral values, art, or political science. Yes, science is the answer, but not to every question. And when science fails, theology has the answers, because even though it sounds unreasonable, what faith offers is what is beyond reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you po. That is a really impactful way to siguro close off your what you're going to say po for this discussion. So for ano naman po, for Professor Villasor po.
I left my priestly life because not because of science or theology, but because of my human love for my family, my wife. I think this is a very existential way to say that you can use your reason, you can use your desire for a good thing, for flourishing. So, hindi naman nagbago ang pagtingin ko sa Diyos eh. Hindi na rin nagbago ang pagtingin ko sa siyensya. So, ang tingin ko sa kapwa ko ay kailangan magbagong mabuti, no? So, my mental health today, after I had a departure from my previous ministerial life, is one of service. So, this is my telos, no? This is my purpose in life. So this is my journey. So ang sinabi kanina ng aming professor sa UST, si Father Nicanor Austriaco, is a very good bioethicist and a scientist. He graduated in school of Massachusetts Institute of Technology, a very high-end school in science. and he is also a Dominican priest and UST, and he's very consultant din siya sa mga presidential actions for justice or whatever and health problems in the Philippines. So ang tingin niya, ang importante is keep the journey in view and mind, no? Ang journey natin is our telos, no? Is purpose in life, meaningful life. At begin with the end in mind. So what is your end in mind is your service to the people. So this is not individualistic, this is collective, no? So para sa akin, this is my love for God, no? When you love God, you have a mission for the school, for the theology, for divinity schools and the seminary. So continue your life in the seminary, become a good priest. You can become also a good cardinal like Bishop Ambo. So there are so many priests, but they don't need to become bishops or they don't need to become cardinal, but they have to rest their contemplative life, their discernment to God, na siya yung nag-create sa'yo ng union for the love for others. Or else, kung hindi ka masaya sa buhay mo, that happens to me for a time, you will be in a control life. No? Mahirap na yung control eh. Science and religion can control your life. But this should be geared towards more dynamism. Hindi siya routinary. So life should be restful, enjoyable. You can play around with your school, with your theology, with your philosophy. It's therapeutic, like Wittgenstein said about philosophy. It should be destroying your chimera, your confusion in language and technology, etc. So hindi tayo natatalo ng artificial intelligence because you're a critical thinker. Your mind is set for the goals of life, the meaningful life. So your beatudo, no, beatitudo, beatitudes. You are in the road to Emmaus. You are able to journey with your own people. So hindi ka naka-fix, hindi ka na natututo ng masyadong control by your trauma of the past. Kaya babayaan mo yung trauma mo of the past. Continue to move forward with determination. There is nothing beyond the reach of your determination. I think that support system with your colleagues, your friends, enjoy your life. No? Play with them. Mag-karaoke ka, mag-bar ka, mag-etc. ka. Basta within a self-regulated life based upon virtues. So I think this kind of idea of meaningful life must be integrated also in the seminary. Or else they become monotonous. Sabi niya, in order to understand your life in the seminary, you should study the Psalms. Pag nagbasa ka daw ng Salmo, hindi ka na masyadong maboboard sa iyong mga prayers. Kasi ang Salmo may mga iba-ibang emotions yan eh. May sadness, may galit, mayroong masaya, mayroong kang time for discernment, etc. So think of a person when you're reading the Psalms or the Bible. Think of a person who is sad today. Think of a person who is sick today. Pray for them, no? Or think of a person who is happy, optimistic like you, like me. So kailangan ay masaya tayo. So keep the control within your bounds, with reasons, with science, etc. So I think that is human nature. And Aquinas would say that is the end in life, or what you call as theologians would say, you are able to liberate your life for the good purpose of meaningful life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Puden, for a very impactful closing to this roundtable discussion. And with that, that actually wraps up our very informative and impactful, again, roundtable discussion. Thank you again, Mr. Mendoza and Professor Villusor, for sharing your insights on this matter. So now, let
Thank
us
you too.
proceed. Thank you po. Thank you so much for all of this, all of your sharings po. So let us proceed now with the question and answer portion. And take it away, Jean and Eliza.
This has been a very informative session, partner. Science and religion are two concepts with separate thoughts and paradigms whose interconnection cannot be denied. Both may be presented as dichotomous in society, but when they go together, something meaningful emerges.
That is true, partner. Pero for me, what about, because for me personally, Jane, my key takeaway from this discussion, I think it's very impactful the way Prof. Villasor said it, that we all have our own purpose in life. So, parang napaisip tuloy ako, what is my purpose in life? Alam mo yun? What about you, Jean? What is your key takeaway with the discussions that we have with Prof. Villasor and Sir Jan?
What really struck me the most was the point said by Sir Mendoza. Yung unang-una, di ba sinabi niya, he makes students realize that faith isn't something meaningless and that faith and reason are complementary. As someone who studied um, in the STEM strand for 6 years and recently nagbabalik sa pananampalataya, talagang hit home yun for me because I found faith to be my silver lining for when life is trying its hardest to break me down.
Right. And I'm very happy that we both find this session very informative. And I'm sure that our audiences too have their key takeaways and probably some questions that needs to be answered. So for our audience, you can either raise your hand or drop your questions on our chat box below. You can comment it down and we'll be more than happy to check on that one and share it over to our guest speakers. Anyone?
Don't be shy na
Don't be
magtanong.
shy. Malay nyo meron pang cash prize ang ang mag-ask, di ba? We'll never know. Drop your questions now if you have one. Medyo shy type yung audience natin ngayon, no, Jean?
Kaya nga medyo dry. Ba't wala nagtataas ng kamay?
True. Let's give it at least a minute. Baka meron mag-drop ng questions dito. Alright. Nandyan pa ba ang ating mga audience? If nandyan kayo, can I see a heart react? Heart react, please. Ayan, natutulog na sila.
Ayan, nag-raise ng hand si Sir Remy De Leon.
Ayan, go, Sir Remy. What will be your question?
Hello. I hope you can hear me properly. But I suppose the big question in my mind is that what are the impressions of our speakers regarding the level of complexity of current discussions about the role of science in our day-to-day lives, specifically in the areas of climate change, and a number of other areas such as biotechnology. I'm wondering how much time they feel the church needs to spend doing science communication. In the sense, of course, that when you're dealing with science, when you're dealing with faith, these are areas where people are looking for clarity, right? And it's natural, of course, for people to ask the same questions of both sides. I'm wondering how much on a practical level you feel like, for example, in the parishes, it's necessary to talk about science issues. Because obviously there are matters that are more related to faith, which need to be discussed by the priest when he does his sermon or homily. And then there are times when science issues become the talking point of the day. I'm wondering what the proportion might be that you think it's going to be, or is this going to become more prominent in the homilies in the future, or do you think we're already talking too much about it? Just wondering on a logistical level.
Let's start with Prof. Villasor to answer Mr. Rem's question.
Mr. Rem's question. Thank you, Professor Rem. Hindi ko alam, akala ko nanonood ka ng basketball eh. Anyway, there's a time for everything. So Ecclesiastes, there's a time to be born, a time to die. So alam ni Professor Mendoza yan. So I think science in the parishes or sermonizing about faith, etc. Wala atang clear-cut answer dyan eh. No? There's no clear-cut formula for that. I think it depends upon your analysis of your parish, concrete analysis upon concrete conditions to become like a materialist or Marxist way. So I think every parish priest is called to. I said there's a demand to integrate faith and action. So parang sinabi natin yan sa ating wisdom books or si Martha at si Mary. Kung ang faith mo ay wala namang action, so and St. James Apostle, so wala rin siyang sigla, no? Wala siyang diwa o wala siyang katuturan. So your actions, kung wala ka namang masyadong paninindigan or faith or consciousness about your love for humanity, for God, parang ano rin siya, no? Social action lang or parang pastoral work lang. So I think there should be a kind of spirituality or integration of that sort. Kasi ang tingin ko, hindi naman sila nagkakaaway ang science and religion and faith. Ang kailangan lang siguro sa pari ay marunong siyang umintindi about justice, no? Work for justice, work for the people. Kasi God, you cannot see God immediately, no? But in terms of your parish, you see all the problems, no? Drug addiction, kakulangan sa pansinan sa mga neighbors, kapabayaan sa environment, mga basura, or hindi sila nagkakakibuan, nag-aaway, alitan ang politika, masyadong madugo. So naguguluhan ng utak ng mga tao ngayon. So pati presyo ng bigas o sa bilihin. So I think a parish priest should really have a very high mindfulness, no? A sense of a mental health kind of a barometer sa kanyang parokya. Kasi kung pabaya siya, deadma siya sa sitwasyon, wala siyang malinaw na direction sa kanyang sermon, paikot-ikot lang yan. So Pope Francis asked us to have 10 minutes for sermons. And then Pope Francis encourages all scientists, whether they are atheists, agnostic, or whatever, unbelievers, to come to Vatican every year and distribute or share their ideas. Stephen Hawking was a well-known scientist, so he's not a believer. So I think those things are important in this world. So mahalaga na ang intentionality, consciousness, or your purposiveness in life should be there for a parish priest. Or else ang parish priest ay lutang. And the church become irrelevant in the long end. Pero not now. No? And I think the church is very relevant today in the Philippines, especially because we have a very close-knit family and we have a very highly idea of divinity and God. Thank you. Thank you, Ren.
Ooh,
All right.
all right. Thank you, Prof. Vilasor and Prof. Rem. That's a very interesting question indeed, right, Jean? But I think, Jean, we do have like one question from the audience, right?
Excuse lang po.
Yes.
Yes. Can I just add something doon kay Professor?
Oh,
Okay.
sure.
Okay. So I have this I think there's a practical way on how I can promote that, no? Because for instance, sorry if I'm promoting UST for instance, and this one is a signature page pedagogy from ours, no? This is called the UST Institute of Religion .ed framework or the Dominican Thomistic Education by Design. So how can we go about it na for instance in delivering the homily, although that would be pastoral na po yung sinabi ni Professor, but for me there's a way, for instance, na we have this phases in how we teach theology, for instance, no, na hindi kami dumidirekta agad sa ito ang sabi ng simbahan, ito ang sabi ng Biblia. No, we begin first, for instance, with the study phase. No, the study phase is we are asking the questions that the people are asking today. So ibig sabihin some relevant issues, no? Sinisimula namin ang theology classes namin with, for instance, ito yung mga issue ngayon. Okay? And then we proceed with the research phase. Ano research phase? We integrate, for instance, ano ba sinasabi ng siyensya? Ano sinasabi ng psikolohiya? Ano sinasabi ng sosyolohiya? Ganon yung ginawa ni St. Thomas sa kanyang Summa Theologiae, no? Kaya I think, so if gagawa, for instance, ng homily, we can use that Salamanca framework or yung ginagamit natin Dominican Thomistic Education by Design ng UST, Institute of Religion. No? Shout out na lang po doon sa mga nasa mga students ko, no? Pero the study part yung mga current issues, and then the research part would be the integration of the disciplines, and that could include science. And then at saka pa lang papasok si analysis phase, which is ano ba ang turo ng simbahan. So ibig sabihin, inunawa muna natin ano ba ang pananaw ng iba't ibang mga disiplina tungkol sa tanong na to, at ano ang pananaw ng simbahan tungkol dito. Tapos sa dulo, we end for instance with the action phase, and that is how can we live out itong natutunan natin, paano tayo makakapagdasal ng ukol dito, paano natin maipapahayag ito sa ibang tao. So with the benedicere, predicare, and laudare, na we praise, we preach, and then we bless, and that's the Dominican way of doing things. Kaya I think in a practical manner po, kung gagamitin siya as a form of doing the homily, well, of course, that's according to the priest, pero I think at least for the theology courses that we do, ganun po. Kaya nai-integrate namin. Kaya kami, minsan nagiging scientist muna ako, nagiging philosopher muna ako, sociologist muna ako, psychologist muna ako, bago ako maging isang nagtuturo ng teolohiya, ng turo ng simbahan. So I hope that contributed at least to the question. Salamat po.
Definitely, Sir
Mm-mm.
Mendota. Thank you so much for that sharing. All right. Actually, we have one more question because we're actually running behind of the time. But this will apply for both of our guest speaker. Jean, what will be your second question that will be coming from our audience?
And from Ate Jamie Custodio, we have, how do we reconcile the coexistence of the practice of theology, which might be traced to Western influence, and the diverse cultural differences local native communities in the Philippines, for example, from indigenous peoples?
You can go whichever you want to go first. It can be either Prof.
Okay.
Villasor or
Ay.
Sir Mendoza, please. Please, Sir Mendoza muna, mauna.
Sige po. Yes, Prof. Okay. So I think, of course, we have this process called enculturation, that is by which the gospel is actually lived out through the culture of that for instance of the Philippines. So we have what we call as Filipino Catholicism, that is how we practice the Christian faith as Filipinos. So that's called enculturation, and dito sabi natin na hindi, for instance, yung enculturation, we acknowledge that there is something good, something positive, something true, something beautiful that can be found in the cultures, and whatever is true and good and beautiful can be used as preparation for the gospel, So ibig sabihin, binibinyag in a way, parang binibinyagan natin yung kulturang ito, at ito ay nagiging Kristiyano na pinagyayaman ng pananampalatayang Kristiyano, Katoliko, yung kultura, at yung kultura pinagyayaman iyong pananampalatayang Kristiyano. So that's called at least in theology, as enculturation, So thank you. I think Professor has something to add as well. Thank you.
I agree. So I'm not a sociologist or a anthropologist or cultural professor of culture, pero ang importansya sa Pilipinas, I think is more, tama yung sabi kanina, it's more pastoral to talk about theology today. So when I studied in seminary, we study about all this scriptural based theology, because theology stands for your study of God. Pero God is not just a revelation, but God is something that is living in the lives of people. So ano yung life na yun? Yung life niya is your immersion with the people. So kung saan siya nakababad sa buhay ng mamamayan, so it's the injustices, the lack of opportunities, poverty, etc. Those things are all real dapat, So when we study the theology of liberation, medyo may pagka-Marxist lang siya, So it has a kind of a sociological dimension based on class struggle. Pero alisin na natin yung class struggle. Look at the identity of people. Tama yung sabi kanina, as indigenous, as Filipino. Kung mahusay sa Filipino ay bayanihan system, bakit ka mapunta sa individualismo? So the Western influence is more of individualism, or a kind of a masyadong autonomous na freedom, wala nang dimension for communitarian work. So ang tendency ng mga tao ay either you throw away your idea of faith or you throw away your idea of tulungan, cooperation, kundi pumasok sa iyo yung subjectivism, no? Makasarili na ako na lang may sariling idea, I don't like my other spaces, I have only my own space. So mahirap din yung skepticism, no? Duda ka ng duda sa simbahan, duda ka ng duda sa mga faith ng ibang tao, pero hindi ka nagdududa sa sarili mo. So you become a measure of all things. And that is, I think, also selfish, what you call it, solipsism, no? Sarili mo lang ang inuuna mong identity, no? So I think this kind of myopic way of looking at Western influence are bad for theology. So ang tingin ko sa theology should be liberative, no? It should liberate the minds of people from their own false idolatry, yung sarili ng mga haka-haka sa buhay or mga arrogance and superiority. So yung sinasabi natin enculturation is going to the grassroots, going to the laylayan, going to the people's interest. I think that's very true, especially in terms of climate change, in terms of all the disasters coming to the Philippines, all dito hidwaan sa politika, sa mga banggaan ng BBM at ni Sara. I think people should be aware where they are. No? Hindi ka siguro na politicize dahil nananiwala ka lang sa isang false ideology or sa mga propaganda ng mga politika na to. Dapat maniwala ka sa sarili mong panindigan, no? Bakit kayo ibubuto ang mga trapo na to? Bakit ibubuto itong mga walang kwentang mga taong ito, no? Ginagawa lang tayong bubutante, no? I think people are not incorrigible or they are not what you call this masyadong tanga, no? Na budol-budol na etc. So I think people are still aware of their rights, except they are survivalists. They just want to survive the appetite of their desire. Sa stomach, no? Sa tiyan. I think people should be survivorship. Maliwanag sa atin yung bayanihan system. We survive because we are all in the one same boat na magtulungan tayo. So I think the Philippines needs a kind of a enculturalization that is more liberative, dynamic. Thank you.
I totally agree with you, Prof. Ilator and Sir Mendoza. My goodness, your sharings are incredibly overwhelming right now, and I'm having this type of reflection currently. So parang after this forum, I'm gonna need to reflect some more. We still have one more question here, but we're gonna keep that, or we're gonna post that answer, or we're still gonna relay that question over to our guest speakers after this forum, and we will post the answer directly to our FB page, so everyone will have the access to the answers of our guest speakers, since we're really running behind of our time. Both of these topics cannot go without the other as religion forms, the idea of creation and the divine creator. While science always aims to show how the creation was done, the dynamics of these two are really spectacular.
But before we end this forum, we would like to award these exceptional participants who have stepped up and joined our poster making contest.
Right, Pardo. Oh my goodness. I did receive like 5 submissions via email.
Wow.
Yeah, and their artworks are very marvelous. All of it exhibited creativity and wits while creating their posters. Mind you, all of those posters were good, which is why we're having a hard time choosing only 3 winners.
Yes, indeed. But 3 of them have really shown exceptional skills in arts and thought-provoking views about science and religion.
So let's not make our audience wait. Without further ado, let's go with our second runner-up. Drum roll, second runner-up that will receive 150 pesos. Okay, and our winner for second runner-up will be... I forgot the name of our second winner. Oh my goodness. There you go.
Charman Dizon.
Charman Dizon, if you don't mind, can you please open your camera for a quick photo op? And make sure you approach us after the meeting ended for your cash prize. Do we have Miss Charmandizen in the audience? Is she here? I'm not seeing her, but
Nanonood ng basketball.
nanonood na ng basketball. Oh my God, I should have
Sherman is
dapat pala
here na. They
it's
have their
in
camera on na.
the- Yeah, okay, that's awesome. All right, that's perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Now for our first runner-up, Jean.
Wait, I'm taking a photo of Sherman. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Ayun si Sherman. Hi! There you go.
There we go. And now for the first runner-up, please show yourself. You have won 200 pesos, Ray Andrew Mutya. Can you
Where
please turn on your camera?
Ray, if you can raise your hand so that we can see you. Because we have a lot of participants today, which is I'm very happy. Is Ray around?
Ray is here.
Ray is here.
There
Perfect.
we go.
Awesome. Once again, just a friendly reminder that after the meeting, please reach out to us so that you'll be able to receive your cash prize, okay? All right, is the photo up all good? Quick thumbs up. Awesome. All right, and lastly, of course, we cannot wait to announce you our champion for the Ciencia et Fides poster making contest, who will win a cash prize of 500 pesos. Congratulations! Drum roll, please. Andre M. Pangilinan. Andre M. Pangilinan, please make sure you turn on your camera for a quick photo op. Is he here? But I've been seeing him very active. Andre, if you are around, please turn on your camera.
Andre has his camera on now.
Perfect. Okay, let's do a quick photo op. Smile. Okay, once again, just a friendly reminder, approach us after the meeting, okay, for your cash prize. Thank you so much for participating to our poster making contest.
So as this event comes to an end, we would like to thank Sir Mendoza and Sir Villasor for sharing their invaluable insights and knowledge for today. We have truly learned a lot from you. Can we call on Mr. Lucas Uson again to present our speakers with their certificates of appreciation?
All right. So the certificate is presented to Professor Antonio R. Villasor and to Mr. John Kevin T. Mendoza for sharing invaluable insights and expertise as guest speakers for this event, Ciencia et Fides, Christian Seminary Curricula, given this 11th of December 2024, signed by Mr. Remy De Leon, our STS professor, and me, Lucas Uson, the head for Ciencia et Fides. So again, thank you very much to our beloved speakers, and thank you everyone, everyone in the audience and everyone who joined our contest.
Okay.
Thank you very much too. Thank you.
Quick
Salamat
photo
po.
op, Sir Prof. Villasor. Smile.
Smile.
2, 3. There you
Thank
go.
you, Sir Mendoza, Sir Remy,
Salamat po.
and all the organizers. Si Liza, Jean, Lucas. Thank you. All the best.
Smile.
Smile.
Okay. We're almost at the end of our forum for today. I would like to formally introduce our professor, Mr. Remy De Leon, who's been guiding us throughout the planning and execution of this forum. And he will love to give like a very short closing remarks for all of us. Mr.
Remy.
Yes, my apologies for the lighting, but this was the only place where I could get a decent internet signal since I had lighting issue or a power issue at home. But I am very thankful to the guest speakers, Mr. Mendoza and Prof. Villasor, for an enlightening discussion. The thing perhaps that I enjoyed the most in the discussion was the idea that uh, discovery is a form of worship. To learn more about creation is a way of worshiping the Creator. And yes, this was a rather difficult topic, I think, for the group to organize. Uh, Partly because there isn't really that much discourse around the relationship of faith and science in the contemporary Philippine setting. For some reason, I'm not hearing about it as much. And at the same time, that's exactly the reason why this was one of the topics that were on the priority list for discussion for this STS semester. And I'm glad that that the discussion was so productive, and whether it's for the audience who is listening to this live, or for the people who might discover this later when we have the recording up on YouTube. um, I hope that it has been um, enlightening and revealing with regard to the role of the church, not just as um, an entity that comments on on contemporary science issues, but is a full stakeholder uh, in these science issues, in the sense that, as was said kanina, science alone does not have a template for incorporating ethics, does not have a template for incorporating anything that is beyond what is scientifically provable or observable. Uh, and so the role of the preacher and the role of the theologian, um, not only as an expert in theology or divinity, but also as a science communicator, comes to the fore. It's becoming more and more essential as the science issues that we face become more complex. So I'm thankful again to the speakers for the clarity that they're able to bring. I'm thankful for the students who are able to who were able to organize discussion in a way that brings the issues to the fore. Thank you very much, and congratulations. And well, let's see you for the finals, or maybe not. Let's see. We'll wait for the last forums before we make a final decision on whether the finals will take place. In the meantime, congratulations, thank you, and good night.
Thank you so much, Prof. Rem. We're really looking forward not to see you for finals. Just kidding. Anyways, I would like to thank you for our all dear audiences for coming in here, Madapdap Resettlement High School senior high school, specifically for grade 11 and grade 12 STEM students. Please share my regards to Teacher Pilar Gamboa Peña for inviting you all in here. Without you, this forum will not gonna be successful. And as well, of course, with our guest speakers, Mr. John Mendoza and Prof. Antonio Villasor. Thank you so much for joining. Jean?
We are now requesting everyone to turn on their cameras for a quick photo opportunity to commemorate this event. Can we please stop the presentation?
Yes, it's photo off. Smile, everyone. Maybe let's count 1, 2, 3 when taking screenshots. Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Were you able to get everyone? Who's taking screenshots?
Um,
I am.
we have
Yarn.
take it away.
Finally, this has been your host, Jean.
And Eliza saying, have a blessed evening, everyone.
May you go out filled with new ideas and perspectives about science and religion. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you po.
Good night,
Thank you.
sir.
Salamat, Sir Bye-bye. Mendoza.
Salamat, Prof.
Dali.
Sir Mendoza,
Bye
Vilasor.
po.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Ingat. Ingat. Thank
Again, for
Thank you so much.
the icebreaker and poster making, please contact us.